Hello there. How is everyone? And how was the paper today? Today we had the Symbiosis Law admission test, the first round of SLAT 2023. And quite frankly, it was quite easy paper, if you will agree. There were no surprises. It was the pattern was expected. There were only 60 questions, 60 minutes, 12 questions from each section. And overall difficulty was not that high. In fact, it was easy, if not moderate. It can definitely be called as easy to moderate is the range that I will put this paper in. And let's look at the sections. Let's look at the sectional cutoff. Let's talk about the paper, the kind of questions on the basis of memory. We have some questions also. We'll discuss the answers also. So this is the analysis of SLAT 2023. Now, as expected, the paper was easy. There were no surprises. There was no change in pattern. There were no no any new type of questions that you have not seen in papers like SLAT before. Sections were 5 sections: logical reasoning, analytical reasoning, legal reasoning, reading comprehension, and general knowledge. Now, one interesting fact is that they use the word analytical reasoning, but you find the questions that you will find in the quantitative section of other examinations like CLAT. So the CLAT has 15 marks of quant. Similar questions you find in the analytical reasoning section of SLAT. So it has questions from mathematical concepts, 10th level mathematical concepts, simple interest, profit and loss, and things like that. So starting with the first, let's start with the legal section, how the legal section was. So legal section had 12 questions, and unlike CLAT, in CLAT it says that you do not require any prior knowledge of law, but here you required prior knowledge of law, because in the first 5 questions the principle was not given. You had to apply whatever the concept was there on the basis of your knowledge of law. So you required to know about mens rea, you required to know about the concept of doli in capax, that a child below 7 years of age, up to 7 years of age, there is innocent. There cannot be any criminal case against the child. You know the concept of 7 years and 7 to 12 years. Then there was a concept of coercion, that if the contract is through coercion, is it a void contract, voidable contract, what kind of contract is that? So that these concepts you were supposed to know. It was not explained, the principle was not given. So coercion, then there was a question of negligence. Then there were questions from criminal law also, and it was a very set pattern. There were questions from torts, there were questions from criminal law, there were questions from constitution, there were questions from the expected areas that most of the law entrance examination test. So we had questions from IPC section 85, IPC section 86, that if there is voluntary intoxication, then what is the case? There were questions from theft, there was a question from assault, then there were questions from Article 163 and Article 74 of the Constitution, and there was also a concept of force majeure. One knowledge based question was that they gave the name of the Sabrimala case, and you were asked to tell which case is this. Is it Sabrimala case, Ayodhya case? Which case is known as with the real name? So that if you had been reading newspaper, if you had been following the Sabrimala case, or in general reading editorials, you would have been aware of these concepts, these questions. There was also a question regarding that no one can be forced to be a witness against himself, cannot be compelled to be a witness against himself. So that is Article 20 of the Constitution of India was also covered. And then there was a question from Consumer Protection Act. So this was a bit new. Sometimes you don't expect. However, when you are studying torts, usually Consumer Protection Act is an extension of law of torts. So while studying torts, the concept of Consumer Protection Act also become relevant. So more or less very expected pattern. We focus on tort, we focus on contract, we focus on criminal law, we focus on constitution. These are the 4 major areas that we focus on, and all the questions were from these 4 areas only. So very expected, very predictable, very easy, I would say. Nothing to worry in this section. So if you're you could have easily got more than 10 questions right in this section. Quite frankly, there were only 12 questions, and 10 plus is a good score from a candidate that can be expected that a candidate will score 10 plus in this section as far as legal reasoning is concerned. Moving on to the next section was general knowledge, which was a mix of static GK and current affairs. However, this too was not difficult. There were very predictable questions. We keep telling you that there are some basic questions that every competitive examination tests you. You should know some basic things, like you should know the Nobel Prize winners. So they asked the winner of Nobel Prize in literature. There was a question that who is the captain of Indian women's cricket team. So these are the questions that most of the people know who have been preparing for examination. Then there was a question regarding a Satyajit Ray movie. There was a question regarding the book The Glass Palace. Then there was a question that why the Alston company, why it became famous regarding what. Then they asked about world's most extended river cruise. There was a question regarding Chameli Devi Jan Award. And Sultan of Johor Cup is associated with what? So you should know that it is associated with hockey. So not very difficult questions. However, some candidates that I talked to, they said that GK was not so easy. But these were the kind of questions that can be expected from a candidate who has been preparing for the examination. So, but anyway, a score of 8 plus in this section, considering it is a relatively difficult section. 8 plus should have been an ideal score in as far as general knowledge is concerned. Coming to the reading comprehension, there were 4 passages with 3 questions each. Only 4 passages. Each passage had 3 questions, and the questions were direct. You were not required to apply even your mind. You just have to read the passage, see the question, and see where the link is, and select the correct answer. Very easy, very easy. The first passage was regarding the Indian State of Forest Report 2017, which was taken from The Hindu, and it had absolutely direct questions. If you will just look at the keywords that are used in the question and that are used in the passage, you would have easily got the answers right. Then there was a question regarding the Russia-Ukraine crisis, the Russia-Ukraine war that is going on. And that question, Russia-Ukraine question, was taken from India Today, and the article was dated January 23. And please, interesting fact, another passage was also dated January 23. So this gives you an idea that if the examination is in the first week of May, there is a possibility that you have to read articles from 6 months is the ideal bracket that we keep. So the articles published in January 23 were used for an examination held in May 6. So that gives you a timeline as to what are the current affairs that you have to follow for a competitive examination. Then there was another passage that talked about the that being India being the third pole. So that was also from taken from India Today. And there was one different kind of passage that was regarding Pakistani Supreme Court Bar Association Asma Jahangir, and this was taken from Indian Express. So this was slightly different. Interestingly, one of the passages had matched the column also. However, that was also this Russia-Ukraine crisis passage had matched the column, but that was also very easy. Very any had you paid attention to the passage, you would have easily got the right answer. So this was also very easy. Reading comprehension very easy. You did not require any high level of English comprehension skills. With basic skills, you could have easily sailed through this section. Then logical reasoning had a lot of topics ranging from assertion reasoning, statement arguments, statement conclusion. There was a question on Venn diagram. There was a question on differently related words, odd one out. So the odd one out question was interesting. So the 4 words were given. So first you had to unscramble them. They were scrambled. So unscramble them, and then you had to find which one is the odd one out. So that was interesting. And this also required your knowledge. It was not only about common sense. the logical reasoning section, because there was a question regarding blood type, blood group O. So why is it a universal donor? You were expected to know that. And there was this question on a direct benefit scheme, a direct benefit transfer scheme. That also you were expected to know about it. So it was also a test of your knowledge along with your common sense and logical reasoning. So a score of 10 plus would be a good score in this section also, in logical reasoning section also. There were 12 questions. A 10 plus score is expected for a good score. Then came the analytical section, which was nothing but your 10th level mathematics. So there were questions from simple interest, profit and loss, average, number series, speed, time and work, odd one out. Then there were questions on, again, the profit and loss, timing, work and series had two questions each. There was a question on a triangle, and you had to count the number of triangle that were being formed in that figure. So these were interesting questions, and again not very difficult. 10th level mathematics, had you been practicing for these 12 marks, you would have easily sailed through this section as well. And score of 10 plus should be the ideal score in this section as well. Now, the good news is that this time Symbiosis Law School is conducting this examination two times. On 6th May, today, there was one paper. On 14th May, there is a second round. So, if there is a candidate who is appearing for both the rounds, the better score will be considered for the merit. So, even if you say, for example, if this paper did not go that well for you, and you have applied for writing both the examination, there is a chance that the second paper will also be of the similar type, because of course there cannot be a lot of difference between the two papers. There might be candidate writing only one paper, so it will be unfair for those candidates who will get an easier paper. So the difficulty level is expected to be the same. It's expected to be easy. So and the better score will be considered. It will be normalized accordingly. So this is about the analysis. Hope you got answers to some of the questions. You have some idea. This is now fresh in your mind that these are the things that you attempted, and if you we will keep uh, write in the comment section if you also remember any other question that you uh, remember that you or if you can give me the answer of any of these questions that we discussed. If you can answer the questions that were asked in the general knowledge section, the answer that were asked in the legal reasoning section, if you can remember that, if you can elaborate in the comment section, that will be very helpful for other candidates as well. So hope you make it through the aptitude test, and you get to the level of written ability test and PI, and get into the campus of your choice in Symbiosis. All the best. Thank you so much. See you in the next video with another analysis, another uh, topic, and we keep uploading a lot of content in this channel. So please stay updated and stay tuned, and see our next video. Thank you so much. See you in the next session. Goodbye.